Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ellen and in this video I'm going to be doing my September wrap up. This video will probably be short because sadly this was not a good reading month for me. For those of you who don't know, I have a daughter who's 17 months old and she was getting her molars in. She got like 3 molars at the same time and then later got her 4th one. So night times have been kind of difficult for a couple weeks. So I was just too exhausted to read, to be honest. And when I did have any kind of free time, I was playing stupid games on my phone, to be honest with you. First, I'm going to be going over the books that I did not even get to at all. The first one is Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. I do still really want to read this one. If you watch my October TBR video, you know that this is not part of my October TBR. That is just because at this time, I just want to read books I'm just 100%, I'm like so into. Since I am a mood reader, like if the mood strikes me, like I have to read them as soon as possible. So I want to get to the ones that I'm just 100% super duper into right now, but I am not giving up on Mistborn for sure. So I am planning to put this on my TBR for later this year, but for now I did not get to it. Also, I did not get to the Gunslinger by Stephen King. So I am a little bit sad about that one, but I also decided that I am going to hold off on reading the Dark Tower series until I just have more time to dedicate to it. So maybe next year I will be trying again to start that series. So I did not get to the Gunslinger and I had to return it to the library. Now for a book that I am partially into. You saw in my October TBR, if you watched it, that I am about 300 pages into it by Stephen King. So I only managed to read about this much. I'm planning to finish it in October, but I managed to read about 300 pages in September. I am really enjoying this book so far. I am just loving getting the kids' perspectives. Like I like how the timeline goes back and forth. So you're switching between when they're adults and how they're receiving the phone call from their one friend that remained in Derry and letting them know that it has arrived and getting each of their perspectives on how they're handling that news from wherever they are across the country. And then now I'm at the part where you're getting flashbacks from when they were kids. I am just loving the writing style. I love how you get to get really in-depth information from all their perspectives and even from certain characters that aren't really pivotal to the story, like the pharmacist who does one of the kids' medicines. There's a character named Eddie in here whose mom is kind of like a hypochondriac. Like she is just so insistent that her son is constantly ill, to the point where she's making her own son believe that he's ill. So just getting the pharmacist perspective, it's just been really great. So I'm really loving this and I can't wait to continue on. So other than the progress that I've made with it, I've only finished 3 books this month. The first book that I finished was The Beach House by Mary Alice Monroe. This is a contemporary novel recommended to me by my grandma. So thank you, Grandma. It is a book about this woman named Coretta, or her nickname is Cora, and she gets a phone call from her estranged mother asking her to come home. At this point, at the very beginning of the book, you find out that Cora lost her job, a job that she has been working her tail off for years and years at this place, and then she is laid off. So she kind of doesn't really have an excuse not to go home. And so despite not really having much contact with her mother for like the last 20 years, she decides to go home to North or South Carolina. I forget which one, but she goes to the Low Country and her mom is obsessed with the loggerhead turtles at the beach house. So Cora's mother has the main house about like an hour or so away, and then there is the beach house. So her mother tells her to come to the beach house. Since her father passed away the year before, her mom's like, we need to get our affairs in order. and stuff like that. So Korra goes back home, and pretty much it's about family dynamics, how every family to some extent has a little bit of dysfunctionality to it, the really difficult, I'm sorry if you hear my daughter talking in the background. So you get the perspective from Korra and also her mother, Lovey, short for Olivia, and just how Olivia, or Lovey, is so obsessed with the loggerhead turtles. Every year during the hatching season, she tries to make sure as many baby turtles make it out to the ocean as possible. And she kind of ropes Korra in to, I think I've been saying Korra, I think her name is Kara. Wow, Kara. Anyway, she's been roping Kara into helping her with these turtles, and in the end, you find out that Lovey has a secret that she's been waiting to tell her daughter. Kara has an older brother, and just, you can tell that they did have some really tough family history. There's a lot of hurt feelings, there's some betrayal, and it's about like forgiveness and giving another chance to family that maybe you never thought you would, and just kind of how, just from your own perspective, there's always another side to this story. There's always something else that's going on that maybe you don't understand at the time. It was an amazing book. I highly recommend it. Maybe next summer, since it is kind of like a summer beachy read, I just really recommend this book. So far, my grandparents are hitting it out of the park with giving me recommendations. So I'm just gonna keep asking them for new recommendations because this one was amazing, and I hope you guys pick it up. The next book that I finished was Breasts and Eggs by Mieko Kawakami. I have a dedicated review for Breasts and Eggs, which I will leave the link to that video down below. I really love this book as well. This is my second official novel by a Japanese author that I've read, and I'm just really looking forward to reading more because so far with Convenience Store Woman and Breasts and Eggs, I am just really enjoying their writing styles and their perspective on Japanese society. In short, this book is about this woman named Natsuko, and you get the perspective from her and sometimes her niece Midoriko. And it is just about like women's bodies, fertility, how we compare our bodies to others, like feeling like you don't fit into society, what happens if you don't fit in, and dealing with some dysfunctionality as well with their parents having died young, and their grandmother as well, and just how they had to survive to get to where they are, and dealing with the ramifications of just not really fitting in and having a hard time. And I just love how this book delves into the struggles of fertility within Japan. It is not common, even to this day, to get a sperm donor or to really do IVF and things. It is slowly changing, but compared to America, they're just not there yet in terms of finding alternative ways of growing your family. And I just really loved how this book highlights that challenge. It highlights how other people perceive that idea and the struggles you face with whether or not that decision is selfish or not. I really recommend this book. It really is a deep read, and I'm just really looking forward to reading more either from this author and just from other Japanese authors in general. And then the last book I was able to finish in September, I finished on the last day of September, and that is The Wolf of Oronaro by K.S. Veloso. I also really enjoyed this book. There were certain parts of this that I kind of felt were a little skimmed over. Like, this woman, the Queen Talion, is supposed to be like an amazing fighter. She is the queen of her people, the Wolves of Oronaro, and they are like ruthless. They're very loyal, and she is kind of struggling with the power dynamics of her kingdom. Her father originally started a war to unite all the clans in Jinseiing, the country that they are in, and her group of people finally were able to put Queen Talion on the throne. They betrothed her to the prince of a rival clan, and his clan have previously ruled Ginseng for many years. So she married Rael Ikasar, and they had a son together, but then for reasons unknown to you in the beginning, he disappears the day before his coronation with Talion. So she is coronated by herself, and she rules by herself for 5 years until she mysteriously receives a letter from her estranged husband, and she goes to see what is going on. She's having difficulty keeping control of her kingdom by herself, because kind of the whole point was for the two clans to come together and rule together. So she's been having a hard time trying to do that by herself. And you kind of find out from there what happens when she tries to go see what her husband wants. I really enjoyed it, but like I said, there are some fighting scenes where it's kind of like, I don't know if they're like as believable. There are times where she is tough and she does things on her own, but there's other moments where she's just really weak and naive. And for someone who went to like a school for royals and stuff like that, I kind of wonder how she managed to not kind of see some things coming. But at the end of the day, maybe it makes sense because she was a little bit isolated. But it's not a perfect book, but I do think it is a great start to this series, and I am looking forward to continuing on with this trilogy. So that is it, you guys. That is all that I read in the month of September. It is not a lot, but I am hoping that October I can pick up the momentum. My daughter stopped teething. She got her molars in, so I am hoping to use a lot of my spare time for reading again, and especially since it is now fall, the weather is starting to take a little bit of a downturn, which means more time indoors. Anyway, what have you guys read in September, and what was your favorite book that you read in September? I think just for the impact value, I think Breasts and Eggs was maybe my favorite, with The Beach House being a really close second. And then The Wolf of Oronaro is maybe third, but it is by no means a lesser book, just compared to the other two. This one is in third place. So let me know, what was your favorite book that you read in September, and what was your least favorite book? And let me know why. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below in the comments. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, if you'd like to see more videos from me. And until next time, guys, bye.